Hi everyone, it's Monday, February 2nd, 2026, and we need to talk about this brutal Arctic cold snap. Right now, over 40 communities across southern Ontario are under a yellow cold warning with dangerous wind chills. We're talking about wind chill values hitting 25 to 30 degrees C across the Greater Toronto Area. And here's something remarkable. January 2026 just became the snowiest month on record at Toronto Pearson Airport. 88. 2 centimeters of snow fell this past month, breaking records that have stood since 1937. But the cold story isn't over yet, and we've got snow on the way tonight. So let's get right into it. Let me start with what's happening right now this Sunday morning. As many of you are just waking up across Ontario, if you stepped outside early this morning in Toronto, you experienced wind chills around 28 to 30 degrees. That's cold enough for frostbite to develop on exposed skin in less than 10 minutes. So this is serious stuff. Environment Canada says this is the coldest air mass we've seen in southern Ontario since way back in February 2023. The actual temperature at midnight in Toronto was sitting at minus 12 degrees. But with the wind, it felt brutal. Now the good news is that yellow cold warning expires at noon today, but temperatures are still going to be very cold. Here's your Toronto forecast for this Sunday. We're looking at a high of only minus 4 degrees C this afternoon. You'll see a mix of sun and cloud. Winds will be light at about 15 kilometers per hour. Pretty calm, actually. But by this afternoon, that wind chill will still make it feel like minus 16. So, bundle up if you're heading out. Tonight is when things get interesting because we're expecting clouds to roll in with a 60% chance of snow developing. Overnight lows will drop to minus 8 to 13. And here's the kicker. Wind chills return to minus 25 overnight. So we're basically going through this cold snap twice in one weekend, with tonight being just as cold as this morning was. If you're in Mississauga, BM10, Vaughan, or anywhere across the GTA, expect the exact same conditions I just described for Toronto. Now, let's head east to Ottawa and eastern Ontario, where you guys are dealing with even colder conditions this morning. Ottawa woke up to 12 degrees. But the wind chill this morning was a bone-chilling 31 degrees C. The forecast for Ottawa today calls for sunny skies with a high of 1, so slightly colder than Toronto. That wind chill will improve to minus 16 by this afternoon, but you still need to cover up all exposed skin. Tonight in Ottawa, temperatures drop to minus 17 with wind chills around minus 24. And snow is on the way. Environment Canada has issued snowfall warnings for areas stretching from Quinte West all the way east to the Quebec border. We're looking at 15 to 30 centimeters of accumulation starting this afternoon and continuing through Monday morning in some locations. Ottawa specifically is forecast to receive about 20 centimeters of snow, which will definitely impact your Monday morning commute. The City of Ottawa has already announced a winter parking ban for tomorrow from 10:00 a.m. to 7:00 p.m. If you're across the river in Gatineau, Quebec, there's a parking ban running overnight from midnight to 6:00 in the morning. Kingston has declared a significant weather event and is warning residents that normal winter maintenance might not keep up tomorrow. They've extended hours at the Artillery Park Warming Center, which is open from 9:00 p.m. until 8:30 in the morning. Moving west now to Hamilton and the Niagara region, where Lake Ontario is providing just a bit of a moderating influence. Hamilton's looking at a high today of minus 4 to 7, with overnight lows around minus 8 to minus 12. You're still seeing wind chills near minus 30 this morning, so don't let that slightly warmer actual temperature fool you. Burlington and Oakville are in the same boat. And if you're traveling on the QEW today, roads are clear but cold. Over in London and southwestern Ontario, today's high reaches minus 4 to minus 8, with light winds keeping things calm. There's a possibility of light snow moving in later this evening. Nothing major, just a few flurries to watch for. Now, if you're up in Barrie, Muskoka, or anywhere in cottage country, You are in the bullseye of the coldest conditions. Wind chills this morning reached -35 to -40 degrees C, and that is dangerously cold. My goodness. These areas have already been hammered with heavy lake effect snow over the past week, and now this extreme cold on top. If you get stranded or stuck outside in these conditions, you're looking at a life-threatening situation within minutes. Northern Ontario is experiencing the most severe conditions across the entire province, with actual temperatures around -35. Wind chills in Northern Ontario are hitting 45 to locally -50, which is absolutely brutal and dangerous. Fort Frances recorded -30 as the coldest spot in Ontario, while Windsor was the warmest at -10. 6. All right, let's talk about the health risks because Environment Canada is not messing around with these warnings, you guys. Frostbite can literally develop within minutes on any exposed skin when wind chills drop below -255 degrees Celsius. Watch for color changes on your fingers and toes, pain, numbness, tingling sensations, or any swelling on exposed areas. If you notice any of these symptoms, get indoors immediately and start warming up and seek medical attention if needed. The most vulnerable groups are young children, elderly folks, and anyone who's intoxicated or experiencing homelessness right now. Toronto has opened 8 warming centers, including a new one at John Enos Community Center with 30 additional emergency spaces. And remember this, if it's too cold for you to stay outside, it is definitely too cold for your pets. Bring your dogs and cats inside. Make sure outdoor animals have proper shelter, and check on them frequently during this cold. Now, let's move into the extended forecast and talk about what's coming over the next several days across Ontario. Monday, February 2nd, looks like this for Toronto. High of -4, low of -13. Overnight into Tuesday, there's a 60% chance of snow in the morning, which means your Monday commute could be pretty messy, folks. Give yourself extra time if you're driving into work tomorrow, especially on the 401 and the DVP coming into downtown. By Monday afternoon, conditions should improve as that snow tapers off to just flurries, and we'll see some sunny breaks. Ottawa on Monday shows sunny conditions with a high of -4. So, nicer than today once that overnight snow ends. Tuesday, February 3rd, is when we need to start paying attention because a new weather system is approaching from the west. Toronto's forecast for Tuesday shows a high of -5 and a 60% chance of snow developing during the day. Overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, that low drops to -14. And this is where things get interesting, you guys. Wednesday through Friday, February 3rd through 5th, we're tracking a major snowstorm that's going to impact southern Ontario significantly. Now, I want to be clear here. We're still a few days out, so exact details on timing and amounts are uncertain, but multiple forecast models are in agreement that we're looking at a significant snow event for the middle of this week. This storm system is going to bring what meteorologists call an overrunning situation. That's when warm, moist air slides over cold air. When that happens, you get prolonged periods of steady snow that can really pile up over 12 to 24 hours. Early indications suggest we could be looking at another 15 to 25 centimeters across much of southern Ontario by Thursday. Some models are even more aggressive, showing potential for 30 to 40 centimeters in the hardest-hit areas around Toronto. This would be coming on top of all the snow we've already received. Remember, we just had a record-breaking January. The timing right now looks like snow beginning Wednesday afternoon or evening, and continuing through much of Thursday across the region. By Friday, we should see that system pulling away to the east, but we'll be left with very cold temperatures once again. The weekend of February 6th through 8th is forecast to be sunny, but remaining quite cold with highs staying below seasonal. And here's something important to note. All this snow we're getting is going to stick around for a while, folks. Normally, after a big snowstorm in southern Ontario, we get a thaw within a few days, and things start to melt. but Environment Canada's long-range forecast shows temperatures staying below normal all the way through mid-February at least. That means the snow we have now, plus whatever we get this week, is going to remain on the ground. For those of you who love winter, this is fantastic news. But if you're ready for spring, well, you'll have to wait. The overall February forecast calls for average temperatures of -2 degrees, which is actually 3 degrees above normal. But early February is going to be one of the coldest and snowiest periods of the entire winter season across Ontario. Total precipitation for the month is forecast at 75 mm, which is about 20 mm above the long-term average. Now, let me give you some context about just how unusual this winter has been so far for southern Ontario. That 46-centimeter snowfall we had on January 26th set an all-time single-day record for Toronto Pearson Airport. The previous record was lower, and this January's total of 88. 2 centimeters blew away the old monthly record. These are records that have stood since 1937, when detailed snow measurements began at the airport location. What makes this even more significant is that we're experiencing sustained cold temperatures, along with all this snow accumulation. Typically, Toronto sees warmer spells mixed in with the cold and snow, but this year it's been relentlessly wintry. The last time we had cold this intense was back in February 2023. So it's been 3 years. For older residents, this might remind you of some of those classic winters from the 1970s and 80s. All right, let's talk about travel impacts, because this is going to affect a lot of you over the next few days. Highway 401 through the Greater Toronto area is clear right now, but watch for that Monday morning snow affecting visibility. If you're traveling on the 416 north toward Barrie, conditions are good, but extremely cold with that -40 wind chill. The 402 and 404 in the eastern GTA should be fine today, but prepare for snow accumulation Monday morning. Highway 417 between Ottawa and the Quebec border is going to see heavy snow this afternoon through Monday morning. Allow extra travel time if you're heading that way. And honestly, if your trip isn't essential, maybe postpone until Tuesday. Looking ahead to Wednesday and Thursday, we could see major highway closures if this forecast storm delivers as expected. Keep checking back for updates, because travel conditions could deteriorate rapidly once that system moves in midweek. Air travel through Toronto. Pearson has been running smoothly today despite the cold, but watch for potential delays tomorrow morning. If you have flights booked for Wednesday or Thursday, stay in close contact with your airline for possible schedule changes. School boards across Toronto and surrounding areas closed schools last week due to the major snowstorm and cold conditions. Watch for announcements tonight or early Monday morning about possible closures or bus cancellations for tomorrow in your area. Rural school bus routes are particularly vulnerable to cancellation when we have these extreme wind chill values in the forecast. Now let me talk quickly about what's happening with infrastructure during these extreme cold periods across the province. Water mains are at increased risk of freezing and bursting when temperatures stay this cold for extended periods. If you have pipes in exterior walls or unheated areas of your home, let your taps drip slightly to prevent freezing. Heating systems are working overtime right now, so if you have an older furnace, keep an ear out for unusual sounds. Power outages become much more serious when it's this cold outside. So make sure you have an emergency kit ready. Hydro One reported some customers without power earlier this week due to the heavy snow, and restoration was slowed by conditions. If another major storm hits Wednesday through Friday as forecast, we could see more outages from heavy snow on power lines. All right, let me wrap things up here and give you the bottom line on what you need to know today. This Sunday, February 1st, extreme cold continues with wind chills of -245 to 30 returning tonight across southern Ontario. Snow develops this evening in Toronto and across the GTA, with heavier snow hitting eastern Ontario this afternoon. Monday morning's commute will be impacted by overnight snow, so give yourself extra time and drive carefully on the roads. Looking ahead to midweek, a major snowstorm is likely Wednesday through Friday, bringing another significant round of heavy accumulation. This is a developing situation, and I'll be bringing you daily updates as we get closer to that midweek storm system. Stay weather aware, check Environment Canada for the latest warnings, and make sure you're prepared for winter conditions to continue. If you found this forecast helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily weather updates. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss tomorrow's forecast, especially with that major storm potentially approaching midweek. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and remember to bundle up, cover all exposed skin, and keep your pets indoors tonight. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there and stay warm, Ontario.